Good morning, Revolution, everybody, and welcome to our conversation. We're streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and X. If you like what we're saying, please like and share. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and encourage others to. We need to get to 15,000 subscribers by the end of the summer. Welcome, Rosanna and Anita and Scott. The old crew is back. And
Good morning.
this is this is where it all got started. Rosanna, what's going on with you? I hear you're taking a trip in a few days. Where you going, and what do you plan to do while you're there?
Well, I've been invited to China to uh, to represent our party in a global kind of exchange. So I'll be there, and I believe they're going to take us on a tour of some of the villages. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, and plan
Great,
to eat
great.
some good food.
Looking forward to hear what your report when you come back. And Anita, what's going on in Columbus? What's the party doing, and how are things
We,
going?
we things are going great. The Columbus Columbus Club is kind of on fire right now. We had a community festival this weekend in Columbus, and the party has actually participated in that community festival starting back in the 1970s, I think the late 70s. But we've been there regularly every year for about 5 or 6 years, and just everybody, there was a lot of participation, a lot of different organizations represented. It was a lot of people stopping by our table and giving us some heads up, and buying T-shirts and all kinds of things. It was really just a wonderful weekend of comrades. The end of it was an impromptu concert by our little club musical group, the Gadflies. So it was excellent.
You have a club musical group, a guitar, drums.
Yes,
Is it
we
a rock?
do.
Is it a rock
No
band?
drums, but
R&B?
we have it's labor songs, basically. We have a cello and a bass, and yeah, it's a great. And then last night we had a demonstration at Homeland Security. Every Tuesday afternoon, we're at Homeland Security office with our end deportation signs and so forth. So I've seen a lot of my comrades the last 4 or 5 days, every day, basically. It's great.
Oh, go ahead. I didn't know that you had a little musical. You got a musical group. You got a little canoe. There's a canoe club in the party in
Well,
Columbus. Yeah, or you used to anyway. So at least
used
you're
to, yeah.
experimenting. Yeah, yeah. Scott, what's going on with you? Everything going well upstate?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to figure out how to what response we can mount, along with coalition partners to this horrific attack on both democratic rights and the, you know, survival, the economic welfare of the working class. Um, but we participated in the first Pride festival, big Pride picnic in my hometown, and that was really uplifting, really joyous. So we're feeling good and moving forward.
Great, great. Comrades and friends, we are discussing today the implications of Trump's class war bill, currently misnamed the Big Beautiful Bill. It's big, but it's ugly and it's undemocratic. Another step down the road to a dictatorship in many respects. It was passed by the Senate yesterday and now goes to the House. And then there will be some kind of reconciliation process where they'll try to get rid of the differences between the two bills. And they say the Senate bill is more draconian than the one that's in the House, which is interesting because the Senate was supposed to be more moderate. Ha! I mean, really, give me a break. The whole thing, though, this whole process needs to be put in context. For example, Supreme Court last Friday in a 6-3 ruling prevented district courts from issuing national injunctions against presidential executive orders, saying that they and only they can make such decisions. And that is going to severely limit the ability of district and appellate courts to challenge the Trump administration, which they've been doing, a lot of over the past period. Not that Trump and them are paying any attention, but they were playing a waiting game to see how the Supreme Court was going to rule. And now they've ruled. And that's another step in the direction of dictatorship. And then, of course, we have to include in the whole shebang the bombing of Iran. On the other hand, and this is important, the anti-MAGA movement over the last several weeks has gained a head of steam. What with the April 5th demonstrations, May Day across the country, which was big, and the labor movement jumped into it in a big way. And then, of course, 2.5, 3 weeks ago, the June 14th No Kings March. And then, last but certainly not least, you got to include the stunning, and I mean stunning, 12-point victory of Mr. Mamdani in the New York Democratic primary. Let's start there. The string of new developments in the broad Democratic movement. Rosanna, with you, in your opinion, have we reached a turning point in the resistance? And what's new, in your opinion? And what does it abode suggest? What does it suggest for the future coming up?
Well, I don't know if I can actually say we've reached a turning point. I think we're very close to it. I'm super impressed with the organizations that are stepping up to defend the immigrant rights, immigrants, and they're being kidnapped here in Los Angeles. The attacks on immigrants all over. You're walking down the street and they pull up on folks, and there are people who are organized and who are patrolling and taking care of business out here, which I'm really happy to 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 see, and for people to really step up and see the injustice. So I think we're getting very close to it. It's really exciting. I'm so hopeful because I see these developments. This recent election in New York is a big development, and I think we should really highlight it in the sense that people are going. The next step is to vote. They're going to vote some of these Republicans out, vote some of these progressives in. I think that's the very next step. We've got to look at what kind of candidates, who can run, either under the Communist Party or other organizations, to be able to change this injustice that's going on, that's being allowed, and these Republicans and MAGAs that are really just tearing our country apart. But I see a lot of unity, and like I said, I'm super hopeful.
Super hopeful, as are all of us. Scott, what's your opinion? Turning point moment in New York. Rosanna just mentioned that Mamdani had that 12-point victory, and this is just
Uh,
this is just an electoral expression of it. But in New Jersey, the centrist candidate in the governor's race won. So is it too soon to say that there's been a new stage? And uh, uh, what does it look like going forward to you?
I think we're in kind of a protracted process of transition from one level or one stage or whatever of the resistance to another, right? So we see new possibilities and new energy around Mamdani, new organization, not new organization, but bringing to bear of organization, as Rosanna pointed out, around the defense of the rights of immigrants. Um, uh, have and I will say about the New York race in particular, we did turn a corner, I think, on the ability of right wing and centrist candidates to use kind of bogus accusations of anti Semitism, to draw on Islamophobia, to mobilize voters. Cuomo tried hard on that against Mamdani, and Mamdani actually won a greater percentage of the Jewish vote in the Democratic primary in New York than Cuomo did. So that's an important development. But overall, I think it would be too soon to say that we've reached a new stage. But new demands, new needs are being people are becoming aware of new needs and are stepping up, and we're in a process of reaching that new stage.
In a process, interesting. Anita, I saw a tweet by a hedge fund manager that cynically referred to Mandami's victory, saying, "Welcome to hot commie summer." I thought that was really cute. We would reject the red baiting of the candidate, and more broadly, we would reject the attempt to link the growing protest movement to communism. It's a broad movement of which we are part, but it has many different tendencies who mainly agree on one thing. It's anti-MAGA, anti-Trump, and therefore anti-fascist. But do you foresee a hot summer of protest, Anita?
I absolutely see a hot summer of protest. I don't know whether I would call it a hot commie summer. Maybe it will be for us here. But I think that big coalition that you're talking about includes just not only people who are anti-MAGA, but people who are pro-democracy and really recognize that people's voices are not getting heard. We are objecting to so many of the things that are happening. I mean, I would love to say we're at a turning point. And I hope we are. I mean, we need a turning point, but also we have to understand that the administration is throwing more barriers in our way as much as they can, structurally with the Supreme Court decision, paired with the immunity decision from last year. It's just there are some real roadblocks being put up, and I think we just have to stand firm and really grow the coalition that will help us defeat this effort that they have. It's going to be a real struggle, though. I think with this bill that will really hurt people, and I think we have to really gather together and get that unity on the street, and fight it as hard as we can.
Well, the next thing in that regard would be the July 17th No Make Good Trouble protest. And we encourage everybody to find out what's happening in your local area and participate. But don't do it by yourselves. Do it in coalition with others, Go to your local labor union, your local church, synagogue, mosque, temple. Go to your local community organization. I don't give a goddamn where you go. Go to your bar. Go to the pool hall. Go to the bowling alley. Go to the street corner that you hang out on and try to get people to participate. That's the most important thing. I would say that we have reached a little bit of a turning point from the standpoint that, back in the late fall and early winter, the press was ranting and raving. Oh, there's no resistance. Where's the resistance? Everybody is either in agreement with Mr. Trump or at least they're grudgingly accepting, his election, So the resistance, which was brewing down below, was kind of turned off. And all of a sudden it's exploded all over the place, up and down the length and breadth of the country. And that's a good thing. And so it's gone from 0 to 1. And now we have to see where it's going to go from there. Rosanna, given all of this, do you think that it's still possible to stop the MAGA bill? And if not, what are some of the major struggles ahead? What are some of the major way stations that are going to come up between, say, now and the end of the year, in your opinion?
Well, I think I think if we really call, especially the Republicans, and let them know that their job is on the line. Remember, these legislators that's their job, and they want to keep their job. So if they want to keep their job, they got to do the right thing. They've got to do what the people are asking them to do. They have to represent the will of the people. So if they don't, they should be told you're going to be out. You know, next election day, and I think that will help in that. So I don't think it's hopeless. I think it can still happen, uh, and we're seeing that process happening just by the elections that we've seen, like you just pointed out, in New Jersey and New York. We see the possibilities. 12 points is huge for him, and we need to highlight that as well. I also think that um, you, even if this ugly bill passes, there's still a fight back. We got to stay organized. We got to stay connected, united, to be able to help meet the immediate needs of working people, as well as make the necessary changes so that we can redraft this budget, and making sure that it's making the rich pay their fair share of taxes, and supplying, providing services for those most in need and most impacted.
Good point. Scott, I want to drill down for a minute on the question I asked Rosanna. From this standpoint, Trump has a lock on the GOP in the Senate and in the House. Or does he? What's his name? Tillis just said he's not running, the senator from North Carolina, because he's opposed to the bill and opposed to the cuts in Medicaid. So, and they're threatening everybody. They say if you disagree with me, we're gonna, kick you out. We're gonna primary you. We're gonna get others to. Um, so, given that, what emphasis do we give to pushing folks to defeat it? Do we say that it's possible? Or do we say that the main thing is to struggle? Whether we win or lose, the lesson is in the fight back, because even if they win, it'll prevent them from doing things in other areas if they see the opposition, gaining momentum and strength. Always keeping in mind Amilcar Cabral's message to us. Remember, tell no lies, claim no easy victories. What's the best approach in your view?
I don't think I see, trying to stop the passage of this bill, and you know building the broader fight back against the bill and the MAGA agenda as somehow in opposition with each other. I think we still have room to struggle around this bill. It has not been passed by the House. We know there is, um, you know, there is far from consensus among Republicans in the House over it. And that's likely to buy us a little time. So we should be, continuing to call our representatives. We should also be, in addition to that, confronting them and also talking to people about what this bill is and reminding them, who is voting for it, right? So this bill, Engels, in Condition of the Working Class in England, introduces a term he borrowed from the English workers' movement: social murder, right? When the ruling class does something that will result in the death of working people. That's what this bill is: social murder that we're being that is being enacted in real time. And we need to keep hammering the Republicans and keep, talking to people about what this bill is and who's supporting it. And that's going to, put us in a better spot around the elections. But it's also going to build this broader movement for the rights of workers, for the rights of immigrants, because we shouldn't forget, right, that the all the cuts in this bill, are to fund tax cuts for the rich and massive increases in funding for the ICE terror campaign. I think funding for ICE will be increased over several hundred times. Like it's a huge increase, and the number of detention facilities will be increased fourfold. Right. So yes, struggle to delay it as much as possible, and also hammer the Republicans for this act of social murder.
Social death, social murder, said Ingalls. And that's a very important. They're cutting Medicaid by almost $1 trillion, $900 billion. Trump lied, and people are going to die. You know, Trump lied, people died, and in large numbers. You know, and it's going to be the least of these in terms of income, not in terms of worth, but in terms of income. The least of us, you know, that can't afford to do it. So Scott, when I drafted a statement or redrafted a statement that had been written, and I said the GOP in the House and Senate is hopeless on the issue of this bill, but we have to struggle anyway in order to prevent them from doing worse things on Iran, on Gaza, and on other undemocratic measures. Do you think I was wrong? You can say so. It's okay. I've been
No,
going back and forth myself and whether or not I made a mistake in that regard.
I I don't think we're going to beat this bill. Right. The GOP is going to end up lining up behind it in lockstep, like they always do. Um, that doesn't mean so. All of these struggles are connected, and it depends partially on where we are, what organizations we're working with, who we're talking to, what we can move people on. Because when we start people moving on something, it's easier to keep them moving on to bigger and better things. So no, I don't think we should put ourselves in a position where it's, if we can't stop this thing from being passed, all is lost. We have to organize against this thing in a way that increases our ability to push back and build the resistance on other things as well.
All the while working in coalition with others. Now we're going to have one of our famous lightning rounds. Nita, we're going to start with you. Are you ready?
Okay,
Clearly,
sure.
and then I'm coming to you, Rosanna, and then back to you, Scott. So get ready. Anita, clearly there's a broad basis for defeating this bill, and it's growing. Elon Musk
Mhm.
even is against it. What do you make of this fight with Trump? He says he's going to start a new political party and defeat all of those who voted for it. He's going to call it the America Party. Good thing, bad thing, or are we grasping at straws when thinking
Elon,
about Elon? Yeah.
Elon, the question is Elon Musk's party going to be a good thing for us? I think sure. Get us, have a whole plethora of right wing parties, and then we'll unite the opposition and defeat them all. So that's my lightning round answer.
So you're
Go for
saying
it,
that
Elon.
these are splits in the ruling class, and as long as though we ought to try to extenuate, is that a right word? Uh, the
Yes.
splits and push them apart as far as possible. Rosanna, same question. Uh, Musk is opposed to it. He's influencing people, no question about that, with close to $500 billion in capital. Says he's going to start a new party and defeat all of those who voted against it. Good thing, bad thing, or should we not even care about it?
I tend to not care about it. Let them fight. They've let them fight it out. I'm worried about the people who are going to be suffering in the meantime. How do we mobilize and how do we organize to defeat them? They can fight among themselves all they want. They I could care less about that. I take that into account, that there's these splits in the ruling class. But I think for us, the important thing is to continue to organize, not focus on splitting them up more, but to be able to be organized and be ready for the next fight back that's needed, and build this unity stronger and stronger that has surfaced from the raids here in the U.S.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Scott, to you, good thing,
Uh,
bad thing, or should we be indifferent?
I don't think we should spend a lot of time trying to, you know, organize against it, but I certainly don't think it's a good thing. Because one of the things, one of the opportunities we have right now around this bill is we can make Republicans own it, and we have to bring out the class nature, the class basis of fascism. That it's not about America first, it's about US capital first, and workers of every race and nationality, but especially racially and nationally oppressed workers last, right? So we really have to bring that out. And if Elon Musk is giving people who are opposed to this bill um, a political home where they can still, salvage their like a reactionary political identity or allegiance while opposing this big beautiful bill, I don't think it's going to help us, organize the kind of broad unity we need and bring out what the real stakes are.
Man, U.S. capitalism first, not America first. You just hit the title for next week's show, Scott. I like that a lot. That's an important item to focus on, and you're absolutely correct. Yet at the same time, you can't neglect, we can't neglect to see that these issues are filtering down into sections of the working class. Now, Bannon and them say that they're very opposed to Musk and these other people from Silicon Valley who are throwing volleys of capital at the right. Um, and they're engaging in this fake populist messaging that they're pro-worker and these guys are anti-worker, and it's creating splits, and it's raising questions in the minds of people who working class people, all of us whom are being affected by the growing political and economic crisis. And I think that the role of the party has to be to continue to critique it, to continue to point out these contradictions, and to not write off those sections of the working class that are being affected and influenced by it, because there's a whole heap of confusion out there, and our task has to be, to the best of our ability, to try to clean it up. Some people say, oh, you're just grasping at straws. They don't differ so much in what their ultimate goals are, and don't think for a moment that they do. And I agree with that. But at the same time, I think we can't ignore the contradictions that are taking place. Anita, what does the party see as the main campaigns going forward? In your view, what's as this struggle goes on, and as the anti-MAGA uh, uh, coalition continues to broaden and deepen, what is our unique role in this broad democratic movement going forward?
Well, I think our unique role is to really make the connections among all of these different struggles that are going on simultaneously. I mean, we are fighting for immigrant rights, for the rights of people who have come here to this country from countries where they're still suffering from the effects of years of colonialism and oppression from the United States government. So I think we're fighting on that front. We're fighting for peace and for an end to this bloated military budget that is taking so many resources away from ordinary people's needs, like healthcare and education. Those are the things that are suffering in this economy, and that will be even worse with this so-called beautiful bill. So I think our role is to really make those connections and to help people see that standing up for civil rights and rights of LGBTQ people and rights of women and the young and all of those connections, make those connections, I think, and show people that we can be one movement against MAGA and for democracy and ultimately for socialism.
You mentioned peace. I hear tell that you're involved in the organization of a peace conference. When is it taking place? Is it just a conference for party members, or can others participate? Tell us a little bit about it, Anita.
Sure, I'm happy to. We're working hard on it. We have a big organizing committee that has a lot of different people from different struggles in it. We're going to have on November 6th, the Thursday night, we're going to have a special session co-sponsored by the People's World, in which we'll have some speakers talking about what the strategy should be going forward, what's our vision of peace, what strategies can we use to attain that vision, and what are some basic on the ground tools that people can use. And those will be guests from a lot of different struggles. We're not sure exactly who will be on the lineup yet for November 6th. Then on November 8th, a Saturday, that afternoon, all afternoon, we'll have a party meeting in which we'll really hammer out a program for peace that the party will pursue over the next period of time, 2 years or 5 years or whatever. Where we're really going to look at trying to tie all these struggles together, all the various pieces of what we call the movement for peace, and try to move them forward in a really coordinated way, where the clubs and the districts are in communication with the Peace and Solidarity Commission, for example, and other commissions of the CPUSA will get involved in that struggle for peace. So I'm really looking forward to getting that hammered out, and the subsequent work that we'll have outlined for ourselves in this program for peace.
So November 6th, there'll be a public conference with the PW, and then
That's correct.
and then the 8th, the party. And I imagine both things will be streamed. So watch out, friends, comrades, siblings, for those dates. Rosanna, we have a problem. You know, U.S. imperialism remains the most powerful imperialism in the world. It's got its tentacles everywhere, you know, both domestically, internationally, you know, and it's hard to focus. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to concentrate. The party can't do everything. I mean, you know, it's an enormous, gigantic task, and we have limited resources like most on the left. If there was one or two things with respect to our role and our duty that we should focus on, in your opinion, over the next 6 months, what would it be?
I think first and foremost is building unity, among the forces, and this is why we stress for all our members to be part of their community in whatever capacity they can. Whether, like you mentioned, your pool hall, your if your book club or PTA group, or any that organized, any kind of organized form, be involved in it, and so that when these kinds of things break out, you have a community, you have an organization that you can mobilize immediately. And I think that's really been key from what I've seen here in Los Angeles. It's been key to mobilizing in defense of immigrants. And I think the other thing is that we have to always keep in mind we've got to look deeper when we read things, when we hear things. The battle of ideas is very, very thick. It's our major battle because they're inundating us with all kinds of false news, half truths, videos, and things like that. And so always be mindful not to just fall for what the first thing you see, but to look deeper. Do your research. These times require that we look deeper so that we don't fall prey to some of these ideas, as you mentioned before, that the language and the right will deepen their uh, messaging, so try to convince more of the working class on their sides. But what we have to do is first and foremost model that, looking in deeper at different things, and then also helping those around us and those that we can reach outside of our circles to understand the full story, to take a good look and fully understand what's going on, and who our common enemy is.
Scott, over to you. We often talk about the Communist Plus, right? What and we describe it as added value. What is it unique that we can bring going forward in your view and around what issues?
Well, I think there are really two elements right now for me. One is um, obviously our understanding of unity and how important it is. Like the idea that change doesn't happen unless you can bring together a movement of sufficient force, right? And you have to be able to unite people. You have to be able to figure out what's the priority that you can bring people together around, and what stuff do you have to kind of, um, you know, sort of yeah, how do you move past all the challenges to unity? Let's say it that way. The other thing I think the Communist Plus consists of right now is hope. Like for us, hope is not just some, you know, abstract philosophical or spiritual thing. It's a political discipline, right? We have sometimes people talk about revolutionary optimism, and part of our role is to know that it is possible. It is always possible to fight back. There's always something that can be done. We might not always win. But we can always be struggling. We can always be, and that's important because, at least where I am, I live in a really small town. In the process of helping build a club there, and one of the things we're finding is that a lot of people see just how messed up all of this is, but aren't convinced of their ability to participate in a meaningful sort of struggle for change. And so part of the Communist Plus right now is that revolutionary optimism. And I want to, on that note, I've seen a lot of greetings and expressions of solidarity from comrades both across the country and around the world this morning, flashing up on the screen. And that's one of the things that, you know, that really gives me hope and makes me so glad to be a member of this party, to be part of a worldwide movement that will keep fighting for justice no matter what.
Okay, I agree with all of you. I maintain that the anti-MAGA movement has gone from zero back in the winter to +1 now. you know, and and in particular, the No King's Day protests marked a huge leap. But also before that, April 5th, and after that, May Day. And what was so important about May Day was that at the local level, in New York, in Detroit, in Chicago, in LA, that the trade union movement was front and center and jumped feet first into it, brought out their membership, and so on and so forth. And I think that is key, you know, there are two things that are missing in the anti-MAGA movement, and one has, and both have to do with composition. One is the racial composition, the other is the class composition, and not just class in general, but the participation of the organized sections of the working class in the fight back, you know? And I think that one of the things that has happened because of the way that the mass democratic and trade union movement responded or didn't respond after the election, and because there was a vacuum created because of a lack of response, and but folks wanted to struggle. And so that 50-51 movement took the initiative, and you had to target boycott the Amazon boycotts, and so, which was wonderful. The Tesla boycott kind of was separate, but kind of started on its own, and had a big impact on that right wing fascist minded billionaires of business good. But the organizations of people of color, Black, Latino, Asian, for one reason or another, was kind of left out of that process, and so now the task is to uh, correct that, not to keep making the same mistake over and over and over again. The other thing is that we have to continue to fight for the leadership of the working class in this broad democratic movement. You know, now the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, I recently read, came up with a resolution at its last convention calling for the national AFL-CIO to hold a national Solidarity Day, Unity Initiative, March, protest, rally in Washington. And that's a very important development. And I think that we ought to encourage folks to join that call, you know, and not just that the AFL-CIO call it just for the workers who are in trade unions and beyond, but for the entire population to join with it, to have a labor community type uh, protest and initiative. And I think that that's really important. And I think that that's has to be a central part of our plus. So we got to fight to improve, to fight for unity concretely right now means to insist that the organizations of people of color, women, LGBTQ, play a leading role. The fight for unity right now means that we fight for the leading role of the organized working class in this trade union, and the trade unions rather, in this growing movement. Because MAGA and them are trying to capture white workers. They're trying to say the GOP is the party of workers. What a bunch of nonsense, you know? And you can see that by that this big ugly bill that's favoring. That's why we say class war bill, because it's a huge transfer of wealth from the workers and poor to the big imperialist billionaire bourgeoisie. Well, we're coming to an end. Uh, Holidays coming up on Friday. Um, we want to give each of you an opportunity to wish our viewers well for the holiday. Give them one holiday wish, and then we'll call it a day. Rosanna, what's your holiday wish for our viewers?
Oh, you're
Rosanna,
muted.
you're muted.
Sorry. What comes to mind is you continue to make good trouble.
Make good trouble. I heard that. Anita?
Yeah, I would agree. Don't wait until you don't have to wait till the 17th of July to know good the make good trouble. There's things going on all weekend this weekend in Columbus anyway, and if they're happening in Columbus, I'm sure they're happening nationwide. 5051 has something going on this weekend, and I think we should just get out there every day that we can and make that good trouble. Don't wait.
All right. Sounds good to me. Scott?
I just say, July 4th coming up. As communists, we understand the limits, right, of the bourgeois celebrations of independence and how incomplete the founders' vision was. But what I will say also is, if you value these ideals of freedom and democracy, then think about what's oppressing us now. Think about the tasks ahead of us, and get out there and fight for it. Right? That's our independence from this neo-Confederate fascist bullshit.
And you have the last word. Declare your political independence from the billionaire bourgeoisie. That's the main thing now. And in favor of the working class, the racially oppressed, women, LGBTQ folks. Thank you. We will be back next Friday. Until then, stay strong, comrades, friends, siblings. Stay safe and stay in the fight. Have a good holiday, everybody. Take care.